Well, good morning. Let me clarify for you and make it very clear what is behind the situation with Ukraine in terms of how the West is responding. In the West, the main focus is, of course, not on God, but on man. He doesn't pay attention to God. The West doesn't really pay attention to the living God. Doesn't understand and doesn't realize and can't sense for some reason that the Almighty is in charge of everything. And that man has responsibilities to the Almighty, which are to, among other things, to follow the guidance of God. So in this particular instance, later on people are going to say, well, how could God allow all this stuff to happen? But that's not really the case. What's really the case is that man, in not following the guidance of God, because he thinks he is God, and ultimately he thinks, we know the best thing to do. So who knows the best thing to do? The Almighty does, of course, not man. Man's limited in his understanding is very limited in many ways. He knows some things, outward things, but he's just very limited in terms of the truth of things. So, in the way of following the guidance of God and of paying attention to God, then one learns, for example, that if you're going to follow the guidance of God, you cannot allow fear to dominate you. You may, of course, feel fear, which we do, but you can't allow it to dictate what you're doing, because then it prevents you. It interferes with your following the guidance of God. And there are many, many ways that interfere with you following the guidance of God. Which, for instance, people will have an intuition. They'll say, well, I think this is the right thing to do, but, I couldn't do it right then because I was so busy at work. I didn't want to really bother the other people, So they have thousands, millions of excuses for why they don't actually just follow the guidance of God. And in this case, it's very simple. When we look at the guidance of God, what is that guidance? Well, it's go over there and help those people and, work with them to get the enemy out of the country and restore peace and tranquility. And why? And we know this. We know that we should go over there. We know that it's cowardly and just a bunch of words when we stand by and let our friend, a person that we love, just get beat up because we're afraid that if we get involved, gosh, the bully will beat us up too. But really, the strength that comes to us comes from doing the right thing. So if we actually follow the guidance of God and go in there and do that, then we will be good. We will be doing the right thing. And so we will get support with things as we continue in that area. And then, this is how you can be safe and secure in this world, is by following the guidance of God. So we're not doing that, and that's because we're afraid. And there are things we don't understand. For instance, we don't understand that even though man has made big bombs that can destroy the world, he really doesn't have the right to do that. He doesn't have in reality, he's not in charge of the world. God had created this whole thing, and he's in charge of which of it is destroyed and which isn't. And man doesn't have that kind of power, even though he thinks he does. Rationally, he thinks, we could just, but he doesn't actually have the power. God will not allow it. I've been told, and by a real messenger of God, that what happened? That that God won't allow this to happen. And indeed, all the time that has gone by, one way or another, man doesn't quite understand it. He gives credit to the Russian colonel and the guy in the submarine and one thing and another, that somehow we managed to avoid this. But it's the Almighty is the one who's the subtlest of all and who is working there. So we don't really need to concern ourselves with the big nuclear threat. Oh my God, he's going to destroy the world. And it's a wonderful threat from the point of view of the bully. The bully says, you know what? You mess with me, I'll kill your parents. And you go, oh my God, I want to mess with them, but I can't. I don't dare do it. So because of the fear of death. Whereas we know, in fact, that if you do stand up to the bully, you're strong, you stand up, that in general, most of the time, maybe all the time, I don't know, but the bully will back off. This is basically a coward. If he didn't have a gun, he'd be running off somewhere and hiding behind the bushes, but now he's got the gun, so And the Ukrainians are showing the sign of what we need to do, because they're not running away. They it's an unspoken thing. They're going to fight to the death. Until there's nobody left. They're not afraid of dying. And if we weren't afraid of dying, we are going to say we're their equals, and not just be some kind of standards by, then we would also not be afraid. Let's say, okay, he says all this stuff, but we don't care about that. We're going to go in there and help our friends. And so that's what's behind everything. The will of God is there. The guidance of God is there. I'll say it again. What is it? It's, to go in there and fight and struggle with Ukrainians and help them to defend their country against aggression and oppression and wrongdoing, wrong behavior, and restore. Don't stop until you restore the peace and tranquility of that beautiful country. God and the people there, through God, through those people there, He's created. It's a beautiful, wonderful country. We need to respect what God has done there. We need to do the right thing, and that is the right thing. So that's all I wanted to say. I hope somebody that's in a position to act. Okay, so well, I'm willing to go over there, but my guidance is not to, because I'm 80 years. I'm going to be 80 years old in a few months, and they ended up having to look after me rather than me helping them very much. Although as a spiritual and as a person who understands something about the real reality, the great reality, I could be useful. I'd be happy to go or stay here and have video chats with Zelensky and help him to understand what to do. Help him, from the older perspective, the true way of doing things, not political, God, but coming from the right place. The sorts of things he could do, for instance, instead of asking for the no-fly zone, that doesn't really work. because they go, well, yeah, because I think we did that. Oh my God. We'll have World War III. Don't you know that? Well, the thing is, okay, so, we need you to come and fight with us. You say that you love us. You say that you care. And so the only thing to do is to put aside your fears and your anxieties and your concerns and do the right thing. Come and help us. All right. Okay. And so forth and so on. And, also, yeah, that's about it. All right, that's enough for now. Love you. Hope you're good. Be courageous. Don't be afraid of death. Don't give in to that fear. We're just here for a short time. It's much better for us to do the right thing. We're not here. God didn't create us to die. So if we do the right thing, that's not going to mean that we're going to die. We may think we're going to die, but we won't, because God did not create us to die. That's not the point of God creating us. All right. Good luck with everything. God bless you, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon.